Hey, this is Jeffrey Smith from SEO Ultimate Pro, and today what I'd like to show you is some of the ways that you can leverage the power of what we have called and dubbed the deep link juggernaut. And what the deep link juggernaut is back when we started building websites back in the 90s, you used to have to literally go to every page when a keyword was mentioned in order to create a hyperlink, and that can be extremely time consuming. Well, the web has evolved, and so this tool was something that we devised essentially that would actually allow you to automate that process with a number of different rules. And so if you're familiar with the plugin, you go to the SEO settings and modules. You can find the deep link juggernaut here and manage the settings, or you can actually use the SEO option here and find the deep link juggernaut like so. The power of this tool is immense, and so what it allows you to do is, as I've stated, create some anchor text. Now in this instance, we now know that Google is looking at natural language and natural language processing. So for the sake of this, I've just used a phrase like commercial leasing. I went into TextRaiser, I typed in the phrase commercial leasing, just so you can sort of see the relationships with that. And another thing I did is I actually went to another tool called Copy AI, typed in the phrase, and had it generate some text, because I just wanted to show you guys sort of the power of how this works. The next thing I did is I went back to the website. I created what's called a semantic tag. Now I'm going to show you how these two tie together in another video, but what I did is the importance of the semantic tags is this. If you're talking about something on your website, there's a certain vocabulary that you'd like to use. And so in this instance, like I said, we use commercial leasing and commercial lease tips as categories. And then we have text in our pages. And so the power of this tool is it allows you to find content, and whenever a phrase is mentioned, it essentially will link to it. Let me go back to the deep link juggernaut here and show you what I mean. So if I wanted to make sure that every time that the word commercial was actually hyperlinked, I would then choose a destination page. And the cool thing is when you start to type in a phrase, it's going to look up any page that you have in your website as a destination. And you can see that right here, all my pages show up, all my media shows up, my categories. And in this case, I have what's called a semantic tag, a commercial leasing page. So in this instance, I want to drive information to my commercial leasing page, or when somebody finds the word commercial, I want them to know what it means. And this goes back to what I was talking about with the vocabulary, because you're just helping your ideal customer understand the experience. So what I do is, in this sense, I would just simply enter the anchor text. I could use a destination page based on typing a phrase that's already going to find pages that have that in the title anywhere, or I can use a URL, and I'm going to actually create a hover option, so when they hover over the link, they can actually see this information. I save my changes. Now, basically, anytime the word commercial is mentioned, what I've done is I've created an actual page over here in my semantic tags that has a lot of information over here on commercial leasing. This is the destination. So in this example, let's go ahead and grab some text from here, and I'll just create a new page, right? And here's an example. Commercial leasing. All right, I'm just going to paste my text in here and publish. Now I didn't add any hyperlinks here, you'll notice that. But then when I go to this page, you see the word commercial is now hyperlinked. And where does it go? It goes to the destination that we talked about. So that's the power of this, to show you how it works. There's a number of things you can do with it. And let's go back to the deep link juggernaut. There's a couple of why questions that we'd like to answer. Why is it important? Well, because it saves you a lot of time in leveraging and taking a keyword, and if you understand the power of entities and how search engines work, as far as people, places, or things are essentially entities. If you understand that, then you can start to create and craft your pages around specific entities, around specific types of questions and answers, and it's extremely powerful for ranking. So in the content link settings, we can say that I only want to add auto links to either pages or posts, for example. You can either allow posts to link to themselves or not. You can actually add quantity restrictions, so that if you have 10 different variations of links on a page, then I say I only want to add up to 8. Now the rule of thumb, for example, what I found is for every 100 words of content on your page, you want to allow one link. So if you have a 1,000-word article, you can link up to 10 times. But if you do that, you're essentially bleeding the ranking factor for that page. So you want to minimize your links, essentially, make them count, because whatever you're linking to, you're essentially telling a search engine that for whatever the information is, I want to rank the page that I'm linking to as the destination. It is the preferred landing page for this keyword. So it's extremely important. I can also suggest to not add anchor text any more than 1 times per page or post. So if there is a page that has 2 phrases that are potential hyperlinks, it only selects 1. And then you can also dampen the links, and so that across the board, if you don't want this to happen on every page in your site, then you could literally say, well, decrease the global auto linking frequency to 50%, for example, or whatever percentage you want. You could even add a dampener column to the actual links themselves, so that you could determine, if you just showed this example, how many times you're going to allow it to link. So I could say that for the word commercial, only link 10% of the time versus 100% of the time. And so that's how it works as far as that's concerned. Let me go back to the content link settings and continue. A few other things you can do is you can stop it from linking inside of different header tags or different code prefixes, or if you have a builder, for example, you could probably put that code prefix in there so it won't break anything. And then there's something that's even more specific, but it's so important that I would like to share that in another video, that you can actually create rules that suggest that they only link to internal destinations that share at least one category, a tag from WordPress, a semantic tag, which is something that we'll get into later, or if it does not have those common denominators, it won't link outside of a category or a silo or a tag. And that's extremely important if you're sculpting. If you know what link flow is essentially how you can designate the weight in your site to determine which pages should rank for what keywords, once again. And when you do that, is extremely powerful when you combine that. Now there's another way that you can actually do this, which is extremely useful. You can actually just go to the page or post itself. Now the cool thing about this is we have what we call page level and global controls. So if I wanted to, let me just say commercial real estate for rent. Okay, let's just go ahead and edit this page. And I know what my topic is. Let me just go ahead and grab some content over here. Just copy that. Go back to my page, so it's got something on it. But if I know that commercial real estate for rent, if this is my destination page that I'd like to make my deep link target, well, then I can just go down to the links tab here in what we call the SEO meta box at the page level. And I could literally say real estate for rent, or for the word for rent. And now, instead of having to go over to the other area and add that hyperlink there, it already knows that anytime the word for rent or whatever phrases that I put here, I usually try to suggest that you don't exceed 5 links to a destination page, just because it's just, you really want to make these the keywords that you choose, like the synonyms and the phrases for rent, commercial real estate for rent, or real estate for rent. You can make it specific, so only if those exact shingles, meaning like those exact phrases, overlap and are there, that they become link destinations. So now I'm going to do that. If I were on this page and I'd already created it and I'd have other hyperlinks, I could actually stop them from showing up here. But let's just continue with this. I hit the word for rent as a new deep link destination target. So what I'm going to do is, now if I were to create a new page or post, for example, and let's just call this for rent deep link test. But if I type helps when you type it right. Now see what I did here is I just used the word for rent, since we actually used that on another page. Using the word for rent, hit publish. And now when I go to this page, you'll see that the word for rent is hyperlinked. And so this is the idea behind this, is that you can just write content casually and you know that it's going to go to the right location and be linked appropriately. So that's the power of the deep link Juggernaut. And that's just a few of the ways that you can leverage it with either the global controls or the page level controls.